Alright, we return for part 2 of Don't Be a Wimp cooking video for potato pancakes. The potato pancakes took quite a while to cook, and I'm not sure if it's because they put in the egg substitute. That egg substitute, let me show that to you. It is called Neat Egg, and you use it instead of eggs. It's got garbanzo beans and chia seeds in it, and it's kind of like Play-Doh when you use it. I think next time what I'll do is, instead of mixing the Neat Egg in the bowl with the water, I think what I'll do is I'll get a tablespoon, because you use a tablespoon for each egg that you're going to substitute it for, and sprinkle it over, and then get, just say you're going to use 3 eggs, use 3 tablespoons and sprinkle it over, and then I'm going to add the water to the mixture to make sure that the egg is even over everything, instead of mixing it in the bowl and then trying to get it incorporated into the dish. I think it'll work out better that way. That's what you learn about cooking. When you use new products and things like that, you learn better ways to cook, or how to work out better. So now we're going to make a flour. I put in a few tablespoons of this margarine. It's called Earth Balance. It is non-GMO and vegan and totally organic. It's called Earth Balance, and it tastes good. I like it. But we're going to talk about living on a budget. It could be more expensive than, say, some of the generic butter that you would buy at another store. And if that's what you have, is to buy generic margarine or butter to make your gravy, that's okay. Gravy originally is like a poor man's food, is what they call it. Biscuits and gravy. There's a lot of that being cooked all over the United States, but I think it sort of originated down south. So you put your gravy in here, put a couple tablespoons of gravy. Put a few tablespoons of your margarine or your butter, or even if you have bacon fat. I don't recommend bacon fat if you have cholesterol issues. It has a great flavor to it. So, if you're just doing this once in a while, it's not that big of a deal. Just like in my other video, I talked about going to fast food restaurants and how that's not a good idea. Going to fast food restaurants all the time. And the key word there was all the time, and you'll save money, and all that. But anyway, this is all-purpose flour, unbleached, King Arthur brand. I like to use stuff that's not bleached. The white flour, bugs won't even eat it. And if the bugs won't even eat the flour, something's wrong. Something's really wrong with it. You don't want to put that in your body, because bugs will eat just about anything. I don't want to go into detail, but we know some of the things that flies eat, and that's pretty gross. And if they won't even eat white flour, I don't want to eat it. So as you're cooking it, you may find out, oh, I didn't add enough margarine or butter or whatever. So hopefully you have a little bit more, because you want to brown your gravy. You want to brown your flour. I'm digging over here in my fridge. See if I can get some more Earth Balance. I got some here. This is pretty good stuff. It comes like this. So it looks just like margarine. I bet you it's like a soybean base. It has a great taste to it. But getting back to the subject of the fast food restaurants, sometimes people want to go out for a dinner. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, my main thing is just like doing it every day. if you want to go to, like, say, Coney Island and have some chili cheese fries, I'm not going to say no. I love me some chili cheese fries. Some people really like the White Castle sliders. That's okay, you know, have that once in a while. If you can afford it, why not? Have a little bit. It's just in the long run. I know people who don't go to restaurants at all. They like home cooking and that's it. They don't like fast food. They don't like, well, I'll tell you something. There is something about going out to eat at like a Coney Island. I've got some stories from some Coney Islands and, oh, yeah, some Coney Islands. Wow, I can say some stories. The Coney Island I used to go to, they had a security guard in there. And things got pretty wild that night. This is a 24-hour restaurant. I think it was over on Van Dyke. And yeah, it's the one that has the big, I think it's Dimitri's Coney Island. They had some pretty wild, rough nights over there. They also had one out there in Macomb Township, probably around 22 or 23 Mile Road. They have a security guard in that one too. Things can get pretty wild in the Coney Islands. Some fights, like on Friday, Saturday night. People go out, they drink too much, and then they say, oh, let's go and sober up in the Coney Island. And they start seeing people that they were in a fight within the bar, or they were angry at for some reason or another. Who knows what. And the next thing you know, food's flying all over the Coney Island. People are smashing into tables, and the security guards grabbing people and tossing them out of their restaurant. I mean, it can get pretty wild. It's almost like a club atmosphere in there. But then it can also be, you know, that's one brand of fun, but there's other things that happen in there too. You get to meet new people, you know, a lot of new people, maybe exchange phone numbers, maybe develop, you know, some friends from there that you can hang out with later. It's kind of interesting. They have that Kentucky Fried Chicken on 8 Mile Road, just past Ryan going west, by that church, that big Catholic church there. And I remember one time we went in there because we were going to get, let's see, it was my mother-in-law, the lady from Germany, and my little son and my little daughter and me, and we were getting some Kentucky Fried Chicken for everybody back at the house. And we were standing in line for quite a long time. And in the Kentucky Fried Chicken, they have plexiglass in between the employees and the customers. So you have to speak through a speaker, and the people in the back, they cook the food and stuff, and they got the plexiglass there because, you know, it's Detroit, at 8 Mile Road, and they want to protect the employees from being shot or robbed or something like that. And you go into a lot of the different party stores there. They call them party stores. A party store is basically a convenience store that sells alcohol. So you can go in there, and some of those party stores have plexiglass too because they don't want to get shot or robbed or whatever. They can stand behind that bulletproof glass and call the police if somebody comes in, you know, with a weapon or whatever. So anyway, at this Kentucky Fried Chicken, but let me let you know, I'm putting the flour on top, and I'm browning it. I'm browning the flour in the margarine. It's kind of clumpy here, and that's okay because you want to cook the flour. You want to cook it so it doesn't have a raw taste. So anyway, in this Kentucky Fried Chicken, we're standing there. We got a line ahead of us, and it's just taking forever to get this chicken. And all of a sudden, I noticed that there's this priest there, you know, because everybody's kind of looking at each other, but acting like we're not looking at each other. If you come from a city, you'll know what I mean. It's people they can see you, and they don't stare right at you, but they know you're there. You know, they got to kind of to the side, maybe look like they're looking at something else, but they're watching your every move. Because they want to make sure you don't pull something stupid on them. you just don't know what's going to happen, right? Well, this priest was a big white guy. And, you know, in a Catholic church, I know this, I was raised up in a Catholic church, and I don't necessarily, I don't go to the Catholic church now, say, and I didn't after I left home. But I learned some things with the Catholic Church. One is the priests do, as a general rule, like to drink wine. They have wine in their communion, and they keep it back in the refrigerator, and so some of the priests develop into having alcohol problems. This particular priest, he was mad. He was beyond mad. He wanted his chicken, and he wanted his chicken right now, by God. And he started screaming and yelling and pounding his fist on the counter, and screaming, "You gotta want my chicken! And what's on that?" And you could hardly understand what he was saying. His face turned as red as a beet. And you could tell he was used to yelling off the, stage when he was doing his sermons. He was just as red as a tomato. His face was about this big, and it looked like a giant tomato. And as soon as he hit that counter, I just about jumped out of my heart. I was just like, whoa, he scared me so bad. And then it got to the point where I almost wanted to laugh, right? But I looked around at everybody around me, and they looked like they were all like, whoa, what's this guy gonna do? I mean, this priest is crazy. And my mother-in-law, she got this look on her face that was like a tiger. She was standing there, and she had my kids there, and she was going to protect those kids. If that priest came near her, she was going to knock him flat on his butt. He wasn't going to have a chance. I mean, she was pissed. Let him try something with these grandkids, right? Oh, she was angry. And I would have done the same thing. I would have protected my kids, but I saw her face, and she looked like a bulldog. She wasn't going to let this happen. I looked at all the other people, and they looked scared. They looked so scared that this priest was going to go ape crap inside there. And whatever he did, with that banging and that yelling and that screaming and hollering that he learned from his seminary school or whatever it is, they got his chicken out to him in a matter of seconds. That chicken was pushed out there, and off he went with his chicken. He wasn't even first in line. I mean, I don't know. It was bizarre, but everybody in that place was so tense. And these are like hardcore people. These aren't your little wimpy, oh my goodness, what's he gonna do? We're all scared. These people are like hardcore, living hard lives, and they were afraid of this guy. It wasn't cool. Anyway, so I got some, the priest and the Kentucky Fried Chicken. So I got this almond breeze vanilla milk. I don't drink cow's milk as a general rule because I have lactose intolerance. So you just pour it in with your gravy, and you flatten it out, and you try to get the lumps out of that flour. That's what you do. You want to make it into a gravy consistency, like, you know what gravy looks like. Everybody here, if you haven't had gravy, it's going to need more in here. You want to have it where you get the lumps out. So you want to just keep pressing on this flour, because it's cooked flour already, and you smooth it in with the rest of the milk. This is going to have sort of a nutty flavor to it, maybe just a tiny bit, but the way that I do it, this is kind of like a poor man's gravy, they call it. A real poor man's gravy isn't made with almond milk, but some people have lactose intolerance. That means they can't drink milk, and because it makes them sick. So we're doing this, and what I like to put in here is some bouillon. You can get the little bouillon cubes, like Knorr bouillon cubes, or you can use the stuff that I got. It's just like, it's not better than bouillon. It's actually an organic one, but you can use any kind of bouillon you want. You get a little bit like this and you put it in there. You don't want to over flavor it. You just put enough. You stir it in into your gravy, because it's going to give it that beefy gravy taste. Some people don't need to use bouillon, because what they do is when they use their bacon drippings, that gives it a beefy taste, or like a porky taste, sort of a meaty taste. So that's the thing you can use if you're not worried about your cholesterol. So the Kentucky Fried Chicken Priest, oh my gosh, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that guy. Wow. I think he had a drinking problem, I really do. Because you don't act like that as a priest, come on. You're supposed to be a man of God. You're supposed to be the utmost, to have self-control, and especially out in public. And wow, to think if he started getting crazy, my mother-in-law would have knocked the priest right on his butt. That just cracks me up. I had knocked him on his butt too. He was out of control. So I don't know. The whole thing about priests not marrying and that, maybe that's what's making him angry. He had a nice wife at home. She could cook him something. Maybe he could learn to cook his own stuff. I don't know. Maybe he ate too much Kentucky Fried Chicken that went to his brain. It's not nice to make fun. I'm not really making fun. I'm just kind of laughing at the situation. When you're in a stressful situation, and it's a really bad, stressful situation. At the time, sometimes you might laugh because it's just a defense mechanism. Your emotion has to go somewhere, so you laugh. And other people might think it's completely inappropriate, like, this isn't the time to laugh. Like you laugh at a funeral. That's just stuff has happened to some people. They've laughed at funerals. I personally never laughed at a funeral because every funeral I've ever went to was for somebody that I really loved and cared about. So I didn't really laugh, but there's that thing inside you sometimes where you just laugh. And then later on, if you don't laugh at the time, sometimes you may be really scared. Like, I was driving from Denver to Colorado Springs with my husband. We just got done seeing our son and daughter-in-law up in Denver. And we were driving back to Colorado Springs. It was nighttime. And we hit a construction area. We had to slow down a bit. And just as the traffic started to pick up again, we got hit by something. So my husband says, "Did we just get hit by a car?" I was driving. And a small, four-door car. And I said, "Mm-hmm." And then we got hit again and again and again until we were going down the freeway sideways at a pretty rapid pace. Sitting in the car sideways, just being pushed along really fast. Well, I just put my hand on his leg and I said, "Everything's going to be okay." And I just kept the steering straight, took my foot off the gas, and we were going to ride this out. I didn't really know what was happening. Well, I glanced over quickly and I saw the grill of a semi-truck. One of those 18-wheelers was in my window. It had just hit us from the rear end to the side. It had done what you call the police do it as it's called a pit maneuver. And it's how they get a car to twist to the side and then they can, take care of the bad guy. But that's what happened to our car. It was caught in a pit maneuver and there was a grill of a semi in my face. And I thought, whoa, I did not know we were just hit by a semi. So we just kept on going and going and going and going and going. And I started thinking, there's a maniac in this semi and they're out to kill people. They're going to kill us and they're going to hit other people, because it went on for a good 400 yards. We were being pushed down the freeway on the grill of the semi. We could have went underneath the semi and got killed. The reason I bring this story up is because sometimes I laugh about it now. You should taste your gravy. You know, I would say this is pretty good gravy. The only thing I would add to it is probably some parsley. Yeah, I think some parsley would be good in here. So, finally the semi stopped. And we got out of the vehicle. We were still stuck on the semi grill, so we had to get out the passenger side. And when the semi stopped, it went off the side of the road and almost put us in a ditch. And the reason that they stopped is because they heard a noise. But out walks this lady, about this tall, probably 65 years old. She was in her 60s. And she couldn't even see over the dashboard. Now that's something to laugh about. And I mean, at the time I wasn't laughing, but now sometimes I have some laughing fits over it. I mean, I just think it's just so hilarious. But I don't feel like it's hilarious that they let her go and now she's out there driving and she can do the same thing to somebody else because she can't see over the dashboard. She should have got her license taken away. So here's the gravy. We're going to take a look at that. Kind of an up-close view. See that? That's the gravy. This is what you're going to put on top of your potato pancakes. It's all about experimenting with this, with cooking. Sometimes you don't have the ingredients on hand, like for instance, the show chopped. They give you all these different ingredients to put in there and you got to make something out of it. Well, that's kind of how some kitchens are. We don't have all the ingredients to do it. We just don't. Sometimes we just have to make do with whatever. We have to substitute one thing for another. For instance, sometimes we don't have oil, so we put applesauce in the cake mix instead of oil. Makes it just as moist. Tastes great. Sometimes things will taste different and you just don't like, it's like, oh, this isn't what I'm used to. I'm not used to these kind of potato pancakes with this gravy, or I'm not used to this kind of cake with this kind of flavoring in it. But you'd be surprised at how quickly you get used to the taste of things. It grows on you, and pretty soon you prefer it that way. I can tell you a story like that. When my kids were little, we were so poor that I would, sometimes buy Pop-Tarts, right? Pop-Tarts. Well, my son, I said, when did you realize, he's a grown adult now, when did you realize that we were so poor? He said, Mom, I realized we were so poor when I went out and I got some Pop-Tarts. And I said, the Pop-Tarts don't taste the same. They just don't make them the way they used to. I don't understand why. These don't taste like they did when I was a kid. What's wrong? They don't taste the same. So he went to a dollar store to go get something. And all of a sudden he looks up on the shelf and he sees these generic brand Pop-Tarts for $1, right? Maybe 2 boxes for $1. I don't know. You know how it is, right? So he gets them. And as soon as he can, he opens up one and he's eating it. And he's like, that's it! That's the Pop-Tart I had as a kid! And he said, that was the moment I knew that we were poor when we were kids. Because here he is eating this generic Pop-Tart from the dollar store. And he finally realizes, yeah, Kellogg's Pop-Tarts don't taste like these because, is Kellogg's Pop-Tarts like $3 or $4 a box? I don't know how much it is. It's really expensive. So, you go to the dollar store and you get 1 box for $1 or 2 boxes for $1, whatever. Pop-Tarts were a big treat for my kids. So that's when he realized, back in the day, he realized our family was really poor. And I said to him, you know what? Yeah, we were really poor. I remember when I used to watch the Neighborhood Kids, and we weren't on food stamps or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I would have liked to have food stamps. I would have liked to have had some government aid, but we just didn't do it. We qualified for it. I really wouldn't have minded doing it. I just didn't want to go through the hassle. The people were really nasty and mean in the offices, and they treated the people like they were second-class citizens, and I just didn't want to have anything to do with that, you know. I don't want to be treated bad. I don't think people should be treated bad that need assistance. It's just awful. So we never had it, but the kids that I would watch in the neighborhood, their parents, some of their parents would be on assistance, you know, and they'd come over and they'd say, hey, I hate this government pork. Would you like to have this government pork? Thanks for watching my kid. I got this government cheese. Would you like to have that? And I would be like, yes, yes, thank you. Government pork. I mean, to this day, there's nothing tastes like government pork to me. It was in a can, it had a pig on it, and it's like a silver can. And that stuff was delicious. It tasted almost like salmon or tuna. It didn't taste like pork. It had the consistency of that, and it was delicious. So anyway, well, what I'm saying is you can get used to just about anything. You can. Alright, so that's that. We've got our gravy. We've got our potato pancakes. We have an excellent dinner here. And I don't think we need to do anything else. So I'm going to sign off with don't be wimpy. Use your imagination. And you can get through it. You can get through just about any kind of cooking dilemma. For sure. Small spaces, missing ingredients, tastes, no preferences. But you can do it, and you'll do great. Alright? Hey, I will see you later with another Don't Be Wimpy video.